All eyes are always on Paolo Banchero. Was Thursday's loss a turning point, or is there still cause for concern today on Locked On Magic?
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is December 19th, 2025. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com, credentialed member of the Orlando Magic media since the 2012 season. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, it was a triple-double for Paolo Banchero. It was perhaps his best game since he came back from injury, and yet it still doesn't quite feel like enough. The pressure that's on Paolo Banchero, whether Thursday was a turning point and why there are still major concerns to think and consider with Paolo Banchero. We'll get to that. Plus, why it's well past time to make a decision on the backup point guard spot. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. First, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. You can make Locked On Magic even bigger part of your day by being one of our Orlando Magic dailies. That means one of our everydayers. That means you're listening to us every single day. We're part of your regular podcast rotation. We are your first listen of the day. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic community so great. And we want to thank you again for helping make the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. It's your team every day. The Orlando Magic are undermanned right now. No Franz Wagner, no Mo Wagner, no Jalen Suggs. Jonathan Isaac, Tristan da Silva were late day scratches for the Magic. They entered Thursday's game against the Denver Nuggets with just 9 players. And Denver's a really good team. That it's already a tall order to take on the Nuggets with so many key players out. But again, it's next man up. It's no excuses. It's all of those things. And so in order for the Magic to be competitive, in order for the Magic to have a chance to win, to take care of their business against one of the best teams in the league, against a title contender, against the MVP, against a team with 2 All-Stars, they needed everybody to play great. They needed an intense effort. They needed energy and execution. And there were long chunks of this game where they got that. There's obviously one chunk where they didn't. The final 6 minutes of the second quarter, when the Magic saw a 14-point lead turn into a 14-point deficit. A 25-7 run by the Nuggets, led by a 20-point outburst by Jamal Murray. A moment where the Magic looked frustrated. They were missing shots both at the rim and good looks from 3. They were slow to get back in transition. A 6 minutes where the Magic just let go of the rope. And it's moments like that where you look to your leaders to settle things down. And I'm not going to sit here and put everything on one player. It's Desmond Bane, who struggled all night long, never really got himself going offensively, never found a shot. It was Tyus Jones, who got caught on Jamal Murray a bunch of times and just not a good defender. We'll get to Tyus Jones. But ultimately, everything with this Magic team is all eyes on Paolo Banchero. And those last 6 minutes were Paolo Banchero's worst 6 minutes of the game. Forcing some shots, just trying to settle this team down by himself. It's tough. Because at the end of the day, the difference in this game were those 6 minutes. Were those 6 minutes where the Magic got outscored by 28. The difference in this game was that the Nuggets stars showed up in a big way. Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. And the Magic stars, Paolo Banchero and Desmond Bane, did not, despite a great effort from Wendell Carter, despite a big effort from Anthony Black at times, despite what we're going to talk about today with Paolo Banchero. Because against elite teams, and the Magic have played two elite teams back-to-back now, the Knicks and the Nuggets. Against two elite teams, the Magic got something from Paolo Banchero. He scored 25 points in the game on Saturday against the Knicks. He scored 26 and had a triple-double in this game. Coming back from the groin injury, Paolo is getting better and better and better, and at least producing the numbers that would suggest he is the star the Magic believe. But there's something more to it. And especially with Franz Wagner out right now, especially with who the Magic are missing, the Magic kind of need more from their leader. And so I'm sitting here a little perplexed. I'm sitting here a little bit unsure of the right way to frame this argument and unsure the right way to say this. Because in my book, Paolo Banchero had his best game since he came back from injury in 39 minutes and 17 seconds, a high since he came back from injury. He had 26 points, 16 rebounds, 10 assists. He got to the line for 12 free throws, was 8 for 12. Still shot only 9 of 21 and 0-4 from 3, was a -6 in the game. Again, a lot of that coming in that moment where the Magic gave away the lead in the second quarter. When the Magic got outscored 43-22 in the second quarter. Banchero is seemingly trying to do the right thing. When everyone asked him to be quicker and more decisive, to move the ball, to not sit on the ball so much, he's doing that. He whipped the ball to players. He's really, since he's come back, he's been trying to do that. And I want to give him all the credit. And again, I'm a Paolo believer. Like, take all this as constructive criticism, please. I'm not here saying Paolo's a bum. I don't believe that. He's very, very good. But the responsibility of a star is so much greater. The responsibility and what a star has to give you is so much bigger. Nikola Jokic with 20 points, 11 rebounds, and 13 assists, and 6 turnovers, might I add, felt so much more impactful than what Paolo did. And again, maybe that's reputation. Maybe that is the surrounding cast. Jamal Murray had 20 of his 32 points in that second quarter run, made 7 3-pointers. Cameron Johnson had 19. Again, Orlando had a supporting cast. Anthony Black at 22. Wendell Carter had his best game of the season with 26 and 9, or at least offensively. Jett Howard had 12 off the bench. Jase Richardson, who we will get to, had 9 off the bench. With only 9 players available, the Magic found some things. But it still comes down to the guys who are going to have the ball in their hands the most. The guys that defenses are geared and shifting to stop. And Paolo did a lot of really good things. I liked his presence on the glass. Obviously, rebounds galore. I like that he is moving quicker, making quicker decisions. There is less of him standing there and over dribbling. There may be 2 or 3 possessions. You're going to have a few of those. And yeah, they kind of came in that second quarter. He still has some of those, but they're fewer and further between. And once he started to get going downhill to the basket, he had, I think, 10 of his 26 points in the fourth quarter. A big part of why the Magic were able to cut the deficit down to 6 from 19. They're down 18 at one point with about 4 minutes left. They cut it down to 6 and had Denver sweating because Denver had called all their timeouts with 1:20 to play. And Jokic found Cameron Johnson in the corner for a 3, and that was that. but it still feels like the Magic need more from Paolo Banchero. And I think that's what we have to find out. And so this is going to bleed into our second segment. What do the Magic actually need from Paolo Banchero? And how can Paolo Banchero give it to them? We're going to get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at DoorDash. The season is heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season more fun because every player has their bag. With DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. There are nights when your team stresses you out, like tonight. Let DoorDash become your post-game therapy. Sometimes you just need dessert now to wash away that difficult loss. And if the group chat says pull up, DoorDash makes sure you show up prepared. Snacks, cups, even a phone charger, the friend who's always at 2%. From tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, gear, whatever gets you through the season, delivered right to your door. DoorDash in your bag all season long. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is also brought to you by our friends at Rocket Money. Ever feel like your money just disappears each month? It happens fast. A few subscriptions here, an impulse buy there, and suddenly the numbers in your bank account don't match the numbers in your head. Rocket Money helps you get clarity, track every dollar, and stay in control of your finances. Because managing your money shouldn't feel like a second job. Rocket Money does the heavy lifting for you so you can save more and stress less. Rocket Money finds subscriptions you forgot you were paying for and helps you clean them up quickly. I like how Rocket Money automatically builds budgets based on past spending. That's something I know I struggle with. And it keeps you on track without overthinking it. Knowledge is power. An organization helps you with knowledge. That's what Rocket Money does. Having the app find good times to save each month keeps you consistent with your financial goals. So take control of your finances and cancel your unwanted subscriptions with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. We want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic your first listen of the day. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level to go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club and get Locked On Magic with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more. All for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to lockedonmagic.supercast.com. That's lockedonmagic.supercast.com. Or check the link in the show notes to learn more. We are talking Paolo Banchero today. And there's obviously a lot of talk about Paolo Banchero. Like, honestly, when I was in Las Vegas and, you know, there are only so many people who cover the Magic and so many people who travel when they cover the Magic and so many people who watch this team every day, Paolo Banchero was probably topic #1 and conversation #1 that I had with people in Vegas, curious about this Magic team and what to make of this Magic team. And it's been really easy to dunk on Paolo Banchero, unfairly easy to dunk on Paolo Banchero. And, you know, I am all for constructive criticism. Like, I want the best version of Paolo Banchero. I think we all want the best version of Paolo Banchero. And we all know the capability and the player that he can be. He was deserving on the #1 pick. He has #1 pick talent. He has superstar written all over him. And it's just about how do we get him there? I don't think Paolo Banchero is empty stats. I want to make that 100% clear. I think Paolo is a really special player. And frankly, a game like tonight's where he has a triple-double, 26 points, 16 rebounds, 10 assists, 8 for 12 from the foul line, getting to the line for 12 free throws, struggling to shoot, but still making a relatively positive impact offensively. That to me says so much. In a game where the Magic had a 112.7 offensive rating, just not a good offensive game for the Magic at all. They missed tons of shots. They were frustrated as all out. Big reason why they gave up that big run. The Magic had a 118.1 offensive rating with Paolo on the floor. Paolo, Wendell Carter, Paolo, Wendell Carter, Jet Howard, and Jase Richardson are your offensive stars of the evening. Just plain and simple. They're your offensive stars of the evening. I promise we're going to get to Jace. I do want to talk about Jase Richardson. Defense was an issue for everybody. There's obviously that big run, I think 35-7 run to close the second quarter over the last 5.5, 6 minutes. Not all of this is on Paolo, and this loss isn't completely on Paolo. But there are also just things that Paolo is struggling with, that especially with where the Magic are at, like if the Magic get Franz Wagner, Paolo not being able to hit a jumper, not a huge deal. Because he could scale back and say, okay, I'll just play decoy. I'll just pass the ball. This team doesn't need me to take hero shots. But this is where the Magic are at right now. Franz is out. On this evening, Jalen Suggs was out. You're down so many bodies, and we'll get to Desmond Bane. This was one of Desmond Bane's worst games. And I think the thing we're discovering about Desmond Bane is 3 for 12, 0 for 5 from 3, 6 points, 8 assists. Like, again, still making some impact here and there. But I think the thing we're discovering about Desmond Bane is that, Desmond Bane is a second option, at least where he's at within this offense and still learning this team. He needs others to boost him up. He makes good players better by his presence, and he is helped by having good players around him. His consistency comes from playing a smaller role. And it's good that he could scale up to the second guy. Like, that's good. But ultimately, the Magic lost because Paolo really struggled to shoot 9 for 21, 0 for 4 from 3, 8 for 12 from the line. Nothing to me says, like, this is the kind of the issue with Paolo is he got to the line for 12 free throws. He got these opportunities and I wouldn't say flubbed them, but left points on the board. Like, nothing to me symbolizes what frustration we might have about Paolo and what excites us about Paolo more than he can get to the line, he can get to the spots, he can do all the things you want him to do. He can have a triple-double on a seemingly bad night. Can still make an impact that allows this team to compete and have a chance to win. And he just leaves opportunities on the board. Look, right now with the injuries the Magic are facing, they need Paolo to be a hero. And everything that means. They need, if they want to win a playoff, and again, even when Franz is healthy, if they want to win a playoff series, they need Paolo to look like he did during the playoffs last year. They need Paolo to look like what he did at the end of last season. And he's 5 games back from a groin injury. Not a major injury, strain, just a strain, but missing 3 weeks with a core injury. Yeah, it's taking him a little bit of time, and even taking him a little bit of time within games to find his groove. He needs others right now to lift him up so that by the time they get to the fourth quarter, he can lift everyone else up and he can kind of carry them to the finish line. That's been kind of the MO for Paolo over these 5 games since he came back, is he struggles early to get his legs under him. And let me tell you, some of these shots he was missing, boy, were they bad. It just doesn't feel like he has lift. And it feels like he is struggling to just kind of get his base under him and build the strength he needs to finish. But as the game progresses, as he gets more comfortable, as he gets more in rhythm, he finds it. He scored 7 points in the fourth quarter run that cut the lead from 18-6. 7 of the 12 points were him. And to me, that speaks to how impactful he can be. That speaks to when Paolo is on, the Magic are, even in this state, really tough to beat. Because against the set defense, the Magic are going to get their defensive work in, even on a bad defensive night. And maybe we'll be able to look at the numbers and say like, oh, in the half court, the Magic were actually pretty good defensively. They just gave up a lot of transition threes and a lot of transition points to the Nuggets when they were either frustrated they weren't getting calls or they weren't making shots or whatever. Paolo is really good and really talented. And for all the naysayers and everyone who wants to doubt him, honestly, even his critics understand the talent he has. But I said this when Franz went down. And maybe it was unfair to say this because, yeah, Paolo is still clearly working himself back from the injury. And so maybe we will be back here a month from now. Paolo will be averaging like 28, will be averaging like 25, 8 rebounds, and 4 or 5 assists on decent efficiency. And we'll be like, oh, yeah, no, Paolo figured it out. He's exactly the player we imagined. We're all laughing. This Denver game could be the turning point. This could be the game where he puts all the pieces together. It's like, oh, this is how I need to play. This is how I need to pick my spots. This is how I can help this team win. Maybe this is the turning point. And again, I want to stress this. As poorly as Paolo shot the ball in this game, and he shot really poorly. Again, 9 for 21. He figured some things out toward the end, but he shot really poorly in this game. This was by far his best game since coming back. He contributed, he got the counting stats that you want to see. I thought he was super aggressive. He got to the basket, even when he wasn't making shots, but he got to the foul line. That's what I want to see. And honestly, that's not what he had been doing since coming back from injury. He looked like, again, he didn't want to attack. So maybe this is the turning point. But I think one thing is proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. If the Magic want to beat teams like the Nuggets, a championship level team, if the Magic want to get out of the first round, get to the conference finals, win the championship, get to the finals, whatever it is. And we saw this on Saturday too, where I thought Jalen Brunson looked like a star and Paolo looked like he was still figuring out how to reach that next gear. And again, maybe that is understandable. This team is going nowhere without Paolo, without all-star Paolo. And Magic fans are right to be frustrated that Paolo hasn't hit that level consistently this year, because everything the Magic are doing rests on that proposal, that supposition. Everything the Magic are doing rests on Paolo being Paolo. So the Magic just might have to be patient, and the Magic might just have to hope this is him moving in that direction. I didn't want to spend 2 segments on Paolo. I think Paolo's on the right track. This was a solid game, not the best game. His best game since coming back. There's still things he needs to be more impactful with, but moving back in the right direction. I think everybody recognizes that. And again, maybe we'll laugh about this in a month. Maybe we'll say, oh, this was the turning point. This was the game where he figured it out. But Thursday's game also made another major statement, one that has been obvious to a lot of fans, that just continues to be blatantly obvious. It's time to change the rotation. It's time to admit what has been pretty clear in limited minutes. It's time to play Jase Richardson. We're going to talk about that, plus go through the box score coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at Gusto. Let's be real. No one starts a business for the joy of calculating tax withholdings or managing payroll spreadsheets unless you're IRS. That's where Gusto comes in, to take the stress out of payroll, benefits, and HR so you can focus on running your business and supporting your team. Gusto is the all-in-one remote-friendly payroll and HR platform that makes managing your team simple, transparent, and fast. Whether you're hiring, onboarding, or paying employees, Gusto helps you do it all from one place without the hassle of hidden fees. In a world of black and white, we all just want to stay out of the red. Unlimited payroll runs for one monthly price, which means no surprise charges at the end of the month. Gusto's automated tools like offer letters, onboarding materials, and direct deposits save you hours every week. And knowing you can reach certified HR experts anytime gives you real peace of mind. Try Gusto today at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's right. 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. One more time, that's gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. And I hope some of you got the reference that I made during that ad read. I didn't want to spend 2 segments on Paolo because I'm here for constructive criticism. Like, again, I'm a Paolo fan. I will defend that man to the end of the earth right now. I think he's a very, very good basketball player. He showed us tonight, showed us on Thursday how good of a basketball player he is. And obviously just you ask a lot from your stars. He's a max player. Probably not going to hit the super max at this point, but he's a max player. He's a player the Magic expect to be a perennial all-star. And just honestly, I think I would hope Paolo would agree on this. He's just not at that level yet. There's another issue we need to talk about. Another issue that has been painfully obvious, but became more painfully obvious during a game where both of these players were forced to play. And my approach to things is to be a little patient. Like, I will come to decisions that a lot of fans are for late. I am also someone that usually when I'm talking to people will take a little bit of a devil's advocate position. I will take the position of the team itself and say, well, this is what I think the team is thinking, because what I think doesn't always matter. But I've been clear on one thing when it comes to Tyus Jones and Jase Richardson. I think Tyus Jones has been unfairly blamed for a lot of things that really aren't his fault, but he hasn't played well. Every time Jase Richardson steps on the floor, things happen. Usually good things happen. And it has been abundantly clear, really since the preseason, when Jase Richardson was playing really well with lots of minutes, it's been clear the Magic needed to have a plan to get Jace minutes, to trial balloon him in spots. And maybe there was a plan. Maybe injuries have slowed things down and said maybe injuries slowed things down. Maybe the Magic struggles out of the gate and the desire to have some stability. And I was a big proponent at that point of saying, even if it's the wrong decision, just get some stability, just get everybody comfortable. And then we can tinker and experiment a little bit once players are in rhythm and players are comfortable. And obviously the Magic have dealt with a lot of injuries. But here we are with this clear dichotomy, this clear point of comparison to say this player is simply playing better than another. This player is making things happen when another player is not. Now, Tyus Jones has not played well. I will defend him and say I think he has been better than a lot of fans think he has been. Certainly, I think over the last month, he has stabilized a little bit. He's making some shots a little bit more consistently. His assist-to-turnover ratios among the top 5 in the league again. He's doing a lot of the things the Magic hoped he would do, and some of the shortcomings are shortcomings they expected. No one's expecting Tyus Jones to be a good defender. But I'm not going to sit here and say he's been great and sit here and say he's been everything the Magic wanted. And I will say full-throatedly and wholeheartedly too, the Magic have not put Tyus Jones in positions for him to succeed. He needs to be on the ball. He needs to be running pick and rolls. He needs to be a primary passer. And that's not what the Magic do. I said when the Magic were chasing Tyus Jones in the summer, I said, well, if the Magic wanted Tyus Jones, he would have been on the roster already. And it sure felt like the Magic seemed like they wanted a better Corey Joseph. And that turned out to be Tyus Jones. It hasn't worked out. And the comparison of watching Jase Richardson, who has a lot of the same flaws. Again, small guy, has to learn how to finish around taller players and above contact, and that was an issue in this game. But even with those shortcomings, it's just clear Jace makes things happen. He fights, he grinds, he's willing to mix things up defensively in a way that Tyus is not. He gets downhill to the basket. He's just constantly more involved. And again, maybe that's some of the lineups that he's in, but when he has the ball, it feels like he has an attacking mindset. Whereas Tyus is just lubricant for the wheel. It's just keeping the wheel moving. And especially with all the injuries the Magic have, right now, the Magic needed another guy who can attack and is, frankly, unafraid to score. Again, Tyus Jones was 1 for 2 for 5 points. 4 assists, no turnovers. Did good things. You'll look at the plus minus and you'll see he was minus 20. He was on the floor during the big run. Like everybody who was on the floor during the big run has a bad plus minus. It was Desmond Bain, it was Paolo Banchero, it was Anthony Black, it was Tyus Jones, it was Goga Bitadze. It's a little bit of Noah Penda. Everybody was on the floor during that big run. That was the game. The Magic were up by 14 with Jokic and Murray largely off the court. Jokic was off the court. He came back in the game after a timeout when the Magic went up by 14. The Magic did what you're supposed to do when Jokic is out of the game. They took a 7-point lead at the end of the first quarter and doubled it to 14. The Magic were in great position to win this game, and then this run happened. And it didn't start when Murray came in. In fact, Jase Richardson picked Jamal Murray's pocket to put the Magic up by 14 with a steal in the backcourt. Or he picked Bruce Brown's pocket, but the Magic went up by 14 thanks to a backcourt steal from Jase Richardson. That is a play that Tyus Jones is not going to make. And to me, that is the argument for why it's time. Just that is the argument for why it's time. The Magic need players who are going to make plays. They need players who are going to make things happen. And in 1919, 10 more seconds than Tyus Jones played, Jase Richardson scored 9 points, shot 4 for 9, 1 for 3 from 3, 2 assists, did have 2 turnovers. You're going to deal with that with rookies. Fought a lot harder on defense, gave a lot more energy, did more things on the ball to create advantages. Jase Richardson makes things happen. And that's enough. It's been time to have a plan to play Jase Richardson. And then I've pitched that the Magic need to pick a game and just give Jace Tyus his minutes and say, Jace, you're getting Tyus his minutes tonight. And if you do well, you might get him the next game, or you might get him 2-3 games from now. We've seen enough positive Jase Richardson minutes to say and to say that, yeah, we need to see if this works better. We need to see if this elevates our team and elevates our game in a way that makes us a better team. And honestly, it's going to. I think I put it as one of my preseason predictions that Jase Richardson would be in the rotation by the All-Star break over Tyus Jones, by the trade deadline for Tyus Jones. We've hit the point where it just might be time, especially with this stretch of the schedule, 13 of the next 16 games against teams with records worse than 500. This is probably the stretch to see if Jace can handle it. And there's been nothing to convince me that he can't. It's just time. I do want to go through the rest of the box score. There's not a lot more to say that I don't think I've hit on. Again, like, I'm not putting all this on Paolo. I'm not putting all this on Tyus Jones. The Nuggets are really good when Nikola Jokic plays. Nuggets were plus 20 in Jokic's minutes. He could play poorly. I mean, 23 points, 11 rebounds, 13 assists. You'll take that. Magic forced 6 turnovers against him. He only had 4 free throw attempts. I think he drew some fouls on Wendell Carter early. He was 10 for 17. Like, the Magic, like, Jokic didn't, like, absolutely kill the Magic. What killed the Magic was in that second quarter, Jokic came back in, and Orlando just suddenly started missing shots. And they had this, like, drought where they couldn't make shots and they couldn't stop the bleeding. And every time they missed a shot, Jamal Murray was just out and running, maybe catching Tyus Jones with a crossmatch. Again, I don't think Tyus Jones, a lot of fans were quick to blame Tyus Jones for the defense. And I was like, no, like, look, he's a bad defender. He got caught a few times. But a lot of this was missed shots, looking to the ref for a foul that wasn't coming. Orlando shot 26 free throws, missed 8. Not good enough. You lose a game by 11, you miss 8 free throws. That's a problem. You're just, again, leaving points on the board. That's been a problem this season. They got caught, and Murray just went on one of his heaters. It was 43-22 second quarter. Orlando, again, extended the lead out to 14 before Jokic came in. Jokic comes back in, and all of a sudden the Magic can't make a shot. Denver's scoring off of every miss, and Orlando just looked a bit rattled. And that's where, again, where you hope Tyus Jones can be someone that could settle things down, or Paolo could settle things down, and that just didn't happen. So, you got Paolo had a triple-double. Again, I thought this was Paolo's best game since he came back from the injury. Desmond Bane had perhaps his worst game of the season. 6 points, 3 for 12 shooting, 0 for 5 from 3. Did have 8 assists. I want to give him credit for that. But Orlando's not going to do very well during this stretch for however long Jalen Suggs is out if Paolo and Bane aren't, like, good. And again, for a long stretch in this game, Paolo was not good shooting the ball, just missing shots. He was 0 for 4 from 3. He's missed his last 11 3-pointers now in the last 2 games. Desmond Bane going 3 for 12 and 0 for 5 from 3. It's just going to be really hard to win games when your 2 best players, your 2 highest volume shooters, and look, Bane was 4th on the team in field goal attempts, so it wasn't like he was jacking up shots. It's going to be really hard when they're 12 for 34. Now, you look at this box score and you just say this is just a straight box score game. You don't know how the pieces came together. They'll say, like, oh, no, wait, like, the Magic did some good things. And that's kind of how they painted things on the broadcast. And they're not completely wrong. Paolo again had a triple-double. Wendell Carter had a season-high 26 points, added 9 rebounds, made 4 3-pointers. Anthony Black had 22 points, ended up shooting 8 for 18, 2 for 6. He really tailed off toward the end of the game. Orlando was right with Denver with fast break points. Denver had 28, Orlando had 27. Too many fast break points. Again, a lot of them came in that second quarter. Denver had 14 of their 28 fast break points in the second quarter. Orlando outscored Denver 62-54 in the paint. They were 31 for 49. Magic missed some second chance points, only 8 second chance points off 12 offensive rebounds. So you just see all these missed opportunities. The game was there for the taking for the Magic. And it was just like little things. It was not getting back in transition for that 6-minute stretch in the second quarter. It was missing a ton of threes. Orlando was 5 for 11 in the first quarter from 3. They finished 1 for 9. They were 1 for 9 in the third, 2 for 4 in the fourth. Again, 33 threes is about where they want to be, but they took 20 in the first half. So just settling way too much for threes. You miss 8 free throws. It's going to be tough. But look, you're giving some guys some opportunity. Jett Howard in 28-51 scored 12 points. Jett Howard continues to take advantage of opportunities. And look, he had some defensive lapses throughout the course of the game, but I thought he was largely engaged, aggressive going to the basket. Love seeing Jett attack the basket the way he's been attacking. Again, Jase Richardson, 9 points in 19 minutes. Like, he's earned some playing time. He's earned trust. He's earned that he does things. But at the end of the day, the way this game came together, the Magic just blacked out for 6 minutes. And against this Denver team who was so precise on offense that, their championship level, they will defend well enough that their offense will take care of things. Orlando just didn't make enough shots and didn't play well enough to secure the win. Losing to Denver on the road is never the end of the world. This is not a game, though, that you should feel good about. It's not a good loss. It's not like, the Magic, they lost on a last-second shot, whatever. They lost because they lost focus. They lost because they allowed frustration to beat them. And if you get frustrated against this Denver team, they're going to pummel you because they're a championship team. They know what they're doing. Jamal Murray is playing the best basketball of his career, and that is saying something. Nikola Jokic can play poorly and still positively impact the game. That's frankly what happened in this game. Orlando just blacked out for 6 minutes, and with where they're at personnel-wise, with the injuries, you're not beating a good team with 42 minutes. You got to play 48. And 42 is probably being charitable, just not good enough on this evening. The Denver Nuggets defeat the Orlando Magic 126-115. Don't know if I said the score, but lots to work on, lots to improve on, lots to chew on as the Magic head to Salt Lake City to face the Utah Jazz. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the Football Seat on the podcast to your podcast-enabled device. You can find us on YouTube as well. Just search for Locked On Magic. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us on Twitter at OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. If you need a last-minute holiday gift or someone keeps asking what you want, make it easy and ask for the Everydayer Club. Ad-free episodes of this show, exclusive Discord server access, and more. Subscriptions can be gifted through lockedonmagic.supercast.com. Again, that's lockedonmagic.supercast.com. For those of you on video, we're going to send you to the first ever 24/7 national NBA YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen NBA Game Night on Locked On Bay, where I'm sure they will have more to say about tonight's game between the Orlando Magic and the Denver Nuggets. We will be back Sunday morning as the Orlando Magic take on the Utah Jazz. We'll recap that game and hope the Magic get back on the right foot because, as I always say, momentum is the next day's picture, and this loss doesn't mean anything if you get a win on Saturday. Got to win Saturday. Cannot lose to the Jazz, as good of an offensive team as they can be. Cannot lose to that Jazz team. Got to pick yourself back up and get a win after the frustration of this game. But we'll be back Sunday morning to talk about that game. Until then, have a great weekend, everybody. For Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.